So, I wanted to make a quick video because it's about 16 weeks on T, so it's somewhat of a milestone. Um, I don't know, I haven't made a video in a while, and I know that there's been some changes. What I wrote down was body hair, that I feel like everywhere where I had like a light coating of body hair, it's just like a little bit thicker. Like even on my face and stuff, like right here, like my ears. I'm not gonna say that I find that like a desirable trait, but it's fine. Um, what else? Also, I might have gotten a little bit taller. I know that um, a couple people that I know have said that, so possibly that'd be cool. Um, Other things, I don't even know. I feel like in the past few days, my voice has felt a little bit gravelly, so maybe it's dropping a tiny bit. Um, Nothing really else crazy. My face might look a little bit different. Try to look at it, but you know, it's your face, you can't really tell. Emotionally, that's also kind of hard to tell for me too. I mean, sorry, this is like a pretty ambiguous post, but I think that maybe my emotions are more blunted in some ways, that they're less subtle. And I mean, it's hard because I was at home for 2 weeks, and most of my family doesn't really know that I'm on hormones or about any of this gender stuff, except outside of my immediate family. So there was a lot of like loaded emotional time. Like it went really nicely, and I really enjoyed my family, but there was also like a bittersweet aspect in the fact that, um, this is the last time I'm going to see them before looking different enough that it would be obvious, I think, and like having to disclose all of everything that's going on gender-wise. So, you know, there was a lot of sadness there. I've felt really emotional lately, and I felt really emotional leaving home. Um, and I've been like very teary, which has been, I've been upset, but I've also been glad to be able to feel that upset because I know I wasn't crying as much for a while there. Um, but yeah, so like coming back from California, where my family's from, and then um, just being back in the city, I've been feeling really out of sorts and overstimulated and upset. So I don't really know like what my feelings are from traveling, what are from like shifts from hormones, and what's what in general. Um, I just know that I've been feeling pretty unsettled, to put it mildly. I'm trying to put on more muscle mass, and I brought a pull-up bar home that my mom's boyfriend had. So been doing that, doing some weights, trying to do some cardio to help the fat redistribution. Um, I guess nothing huge like on all the changes front, just more of like subtle things. I'm sure it'll be more noticeable to people watching this than it is to me. Um, I guess I've also been feeling pretty frustrated lately about the sense, I mean, how binary people are in their views of gender, and also like even within like a trans or gender nonconforming community, like how people aren't really on top of being aware about the difference between sex and gender. And it just feels really isolating for me not to have allies and people that I feel are thinking about these things in any way similar to the way I am. Not that like people need to identify the way I do, but just like an understanding of the concepts in a way in which how constructed things are, and how like something that I think about a lot is that I really have like more negative feelings about how society feels about my body and the roles put on it than actually about my body. And like I can't really take myself out of that vacuum. Um, or I don't know if yeah, I can't take myself out of all of these social perceptions to know like organically if I have any feelings inherently about my body. Like I don't. They're all mediated by culture, and I just feel like people don't acknowledge that enough, and like aren't, it's so much, there's like the sentiment so much that it's like, oh, like I should have been born male, or I'm a man. And like in this system, I think that's a totally valid feeling, but also to be saying like, if society was constructed in a different way, like it wouldn't seem uncomfortable or strange not um, to have these feelings and have it related to a female body. Like that would be pretty natural in a different configuration of things. And I just think like, so it's not always about like, oh, I should have, I mean, maybe for this particular social setup, people feel like I should have been born in a different body, but like all of the things that like maybe that are aspirational about that we get from hormones, like I feel like is a part of the recognition in society, and not just like if there was no um, if there was no perceptions and there was no roles put on it, like would it really be like, oh yeah, I should have like slimmer hips or facial hair? Like it's just like impossible to separate those two and say that it's actually about the body. Like I don't know. I know I'm pretty radical in my views about it, and I think that that makes sense. And I think all of us that are like thinking critically about gender and our place with it should, and you know, have that awareness. And I think it also like alleviates a lot of distress in some ways, knowing that it's like the way that things are set up more so than like an inherent problem. It's a problem with like the configuration. But yeah, I could ramble about that a lot because it's frustrating, and I feel like there's a lot of people in the community, outside the community obviously, but in the community that are really ignorant about this and saying like, oh, well, if you're a man, you should want your body to be like this and this and this. And it's like, no, you can feel and be like gender-wise a man and still be in a female body, as so many people that are trans or gender nonconforming are. Like those things don't need to be conflated, and it's understandable that it gets complicated when the system is so arbitrary. Um, Also, I think that this is just like a complaint about binding because it sucks, and I hope that, I mean, I haven't even actively been planning surgery, top surgery or anything, but I wish I could. I wish I was in a place to do that because I'm so tired of binding. Um, but yeah. Anyways, I'm looking at myself as I'm making this video and thinking that I want to put on some more muscle. But I still want to stay like slender. But in the shoulders and stuff, I think that'll balance out like my feelings about body fat distribution if they're like that much more broader than my hips. I mean, because the distribution hasn't changed much. So my partner has said that like on like the sides of my body that it's like less curved and it's filled out with more muscle. So things are happening. Hope everyone's well. See you later.